Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel. Thank you for all the love, comments, likes, shares and subscribes. If you're new, welcome. We are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly healing and transforming after narcissistic abuse, or transforming in narcissistic abuse. It's all about you, your authentic power, sovereignty, the tools, the strategies, and the consciousness awareness and spiritual awakening to claim your sovereignty in this world and start creating your most abundant, fulfilled life, right? That's what you came for. You did not come on this planet just to suffer. So I called this video, the toxic traits of the narcissist and how they rub off on you. It is impossible to be in a toxic situation and not start becoming toxic yourself. By the time you have engaged heavily with a narcissist, you have picked up ways of behaving, that really derode yourself. Yeah, because you have to become a non-self. It's almost like you don't exist anymore because your needs, wants and desires are invalidated, not welcome. You're constantly being diminished, right? You are what the narcissist needs you to be. You've lost your sense of self. You don't know who you are anymore. Your identity has been eroded and your energy siphoned, right? So you are becoming shelled out. So we've got to come into our sovereignty and authenticity again. And there can be a void even after you leave a narcissist, wondering how you could connect to an old version of you or who you thought you were. You're not that person anymore. You'll never be that person again. It's about integrating all of who you are, all of what you've been through, and now consciously aligning with your soul into who you now choose to be and what is authentic and true for your life from your heart, from your heart's desires, which is something you can't connect to very easily, not your true heart's desires when you're in narcissistic abuse. I want you to understand your kind of resources and currency on the planet, right? I can tell from how people do things, whether they, in trauma, all you can focus on is what's going on now. And it's great to be in the now moment in terms of meditation, but it's not great to have no connection to the direction in which you want to take your life. That's not going to, you're always going to stay stuck. And the narcissist wants to stunt your growth, keep you stuck and frozen, yeah? And keep eroding you so that you are a source to them, a source of energetic supply, what they need you to be. Not growing, not evolving, not coming into your truth and power. Because as soon as you do, you'll evolve. You can't be an energetic match to a narcissist and be sovereign. It just doesn't exist. You can't. The two can't coexist, right? So your currency in this universe is your time, energy, and money. Now, you might say, well, I don't have a lot of them. You might be absolutely exhausted. You might be absolutely busy with hardly any time, and you might not have a lot of money. Yeah, I understand all of those things. But still, we want to look at where I do have currency available. I've got to understand where I'm putting it. With a narcissist, you're putting those things into the toxic narcissist, spending your time convincing them, validating yourself, explaining yourself, pouring your energy, your love onto them, yeah, and often your money. That's a black hole. So whatever level of those things you have, you've now got to understand that all of them are investment. You've got to think of time and your energy the same way you would money. You're taking a deposit. And a deposit, if you put it in a bank, it can grow, yeah? Or it can be a withdrawal. Everything you give to the narcissist is a withdrawal, but time and energy are currency in the universe. In fact, time you'll never get back, but your energy is the most valuable asset you've got. And especially if you're tired and there's not much of it, you've got to be very mindful of where do I spend my valuable currency here. We waste time. We don't understand how every moment isn't just now, it's the future, because we create the future in the now moment, right? Which means that it's like you set a GPS in everything you do for the direction you're going by what you're doing now. I'm going to try and speak more quietly today. Yesterday I did a video, and when I'm channeling, I honour it. If it really is a strong message that wants to come through, or even not, I do honour it. But when my channel is really like, you need to say something on this, when you channel like that, although it does still use what I know in my intellect, because the channel is downloading while I'm bringing my intellect through, the way you being a channel works, and you can do this, you can access this, is everything comes at once. So sometimes it's hard for me to get my words up, keep my words up with the download, because I'm getting a very strong energy transmission at the same time. So I'm mindful of that, but thank you for bearing with me. And sometimes it's not, you'll get what I'm saying, but it's the energy I'm transmitting sometimes that is way more important, because it's moving you. So there's a balance of different things that I share in different ways, because I'm not dealing with this just on the level of your mind. That's the problem. The narcissist keeps you in a prison of your mind, and the industry is teaching you to intellectualize things that don't get solved there. We solve the trauma on the level of the body, the emotions, and the energetic fields, right? The mind is like a computer system, and our job actually is, once we get regulated, to then use our mind to program it in to program it in the way we want to support our direction in life. Now, your soul, your intuition, your heart is like your GPS overall. Like when you're connected to your body and your spirituality, your truth, you'll feel the direction you want to go in. It comes from a feeling, and we use the mind like you would program a computer to help support that direction, so we can actually start choosing and creating the right belief systems, the right programs, computer programs, belief programs to support us. But we can't do that when we're traumatized, because especially when we're traumatized, because you can't force the mind to let go of a current belief system. You've got to come into the body and experience something else, so that then you don't create resistance in the mind. Maybe you'll understand this if you've ever tried affirmations. We don't fight with our minds, and we don't deny what they're thinking. We notice it, and then we move our energetic, so that then when we're in a different space, we can create better belief systems. But you can't outsmart your mind. It will fight harder at you. You can't, when you're feeling poor, affirm, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, and become an energetic match to it just from the affirmation. Until you can experience abundance and understand the vibration and the energy in your body, then you can start connecting to a different level of consciousness, which is the associated thoughts and beliefs and then actions that go with that, if that makes sense. So I'll talk about that more. Let's talk about some of the traits of the narcissist and how they rub off on you. One is, the narcissist has an extraordinary sense of entitlement. No accountability, no self-responsibility, no guilt, shame, remorse for what they do, and they believe they're entitled to this devastating destruction they do on your life. They're entitled to merge with your soul. They're entitled to take and pillage your resources. They're entitled to strip you apart to make you into everything they need you to be. They feel that they're entitled to that. They're entitled to do whatever they want, no matter what you've agreed to. They're entitled in their mind to psychically attack you, break all consent in the universe, all free will. This is a free will universe. There's lots of things I talk about when people are saying, well, why isn't God helping me? And God will help you if you act in faith. But God, the universe works actually on consent, and it's a free will universe. So while you're still choosing a narcissist, God is not going to overrule your free will. Yeah? And you might not know you're choosing the narcissist because you feel trapped, but you still are until you detach and unenmesh and become sovereign, or more sovereign, right? It's a journey of sovereignty. None of us are going to be perfect. We're allowed to be on the journey of it, right? So now the devil doesn't care about consent. It's all about violation, which is why when we're sovereign, we're not a match to those energies, those darker energies. But when we're not, we are. And we start consenting because we're giving our energy, giving our time, giving our money, giving our resources. Yeah? Even if you're dependent, financial and a narcissist, you're still... like giving your money, your potential to earn to them, you're opting out of your actual resource and abundance on the planet. You're actually meant to be supported on this planet. It's not a torture chamber. It wasn't designed to be until you get into these toxic cycles. We don't understand what life was meant to be anymore. It's not meant to be a torture chamber where everything's so hard and you just got to strive to try and control everything and get resources. Your resources are meant for you. If you come into, again, your authentic power, your sovereignty, then and manifestation, principles, which are just the same, like I keep teaching you, like gravity. There are universal laws. There are universal laws on how this planet works, and we're not taught it. Yeah? And just like we know gravity works, but we don't always know how, there are universal laws on how you can manifest and create in your life. You're meant to be supported. You're meant to be resourced in what you want to do. But you've also got to cooperate and be a good player with the universe. Yeah? So this sense of entitlement, how does that rub off on you? Because we don't do it in the same way as they do. You can't be a narcissist. And obviously they'll try and convince you that you are. And because you've picked up on some of these traits is often why you'll start wondering whether you are a narcissist, because they rub off on you. You're under such a level of psychic attack. You're under such a level of brainwashing, right? And they want you to think you're like them, because the shame and guilt, and lack of self-esteem that comes from that helps you disconnect even further from your truth and your soul. But there's lots of traumas that come out of this. I talked about the injustice trauma. And one of the hardest things in that is that we resent having to heal. We resent having to take control of our own lives. Yeah? And the narcissist has already made you dependent on them. So then we feel sometimes we're entitled to disrespect other people's boundaries because we're in more need. That's not true, and that's not respect. Right? If you want people to start respecting you and your boundaries, you've got to honor and respect what they do, where they lie. Yeah? You've got to respect where they are. You can't be an energetic match to people respecting and honoring you if you are not them. And this is sneaky. Yeah? This is sneaky. This is when you know where there's a boundary and you try and push it a little bit, or you don't honor someone's terms of business, or you push it and try and get them to do the way you want it to be done. That's not how it works. You've got to, if you want people to respect you, you've got to honor and respect others. Now, that does not mean you have to interact. You don't. You're free. Which means that if you don't like a relationship or a way a person is, or a way a business runs, or the way the world is, you get to choose how much of your currency you put there, time, money, and energy. But what you don't get to do is to keep trying to push people's boundaries and standards. How you want it to work is how you want it to work. But if it's not their terms and conditions of interacting with you, then it's got to be respected. Especially if you want respect back. So like, what you do get to decide is, do I want to play there or not? What you don't get to do is try and erode other people. And we do this sneakily. Yeah? When you know someone doesn't want to do something, you're trying to push them a bit further. When you know what the terms are of something and you're trying to get it done a different way. It's not because you aren't valid in your feelings. It's not anyone else's responsibility. And this is the hardest pill to swallow on the planet, to take leadership, control, and responsibility for you than you. It's not your fault what's happened to you. It's not your fault, your emotional reaction. But it is your responsibility to be extraordinarily self-aware now. Yeah? And lead yourself through this differently. So like, it's not anyone's responsibility to heal you, it's yours. As unfair as that can seem. And no one has to change their standards and boundaries for you. But what we all have to do is communicate what they are differently. So we want to be a great energetic match to things. I also teach in Sovereign, be a great receiver of life. To receive, to start receiving, not just be a match to takers in life. Because when you're not an excellent receiver, you don't receive love. You just receive people who want to take from you. And then subconsciously you start trying to take from others in sneaky ways where you don't realize you're doing it. You're pushing them a little bit, which you think is harmless because you think, well, my situation's worse, or, I'm in crisis, and it's still not their responsibility, it's yours. And although this can sound hard, what I found was it was so empowering when I understood this. Because I understood it at a different level, which was that it's not just, because it can feel like a burden on me to own this and change it. I actually have the power to do it. That piece you might not know yet, and I'm going to make sure that you do know that. There's potential in you that's so untapped, right? There is a soul that, your soul's not in your body's kind of in your soul. Your soul's infinite, right? And you incarnate in a body that is attached to a soul. Yeah, so your body's kind of in your soul. It's way more than in your body. But like, that soul, it doesn't give up. It can't be destroyed. It's indestructible. There's a part of you that is connected to potential through your soul that you can connect to. Let's talk about another toxic trait, is the jealousy and manipulation. We start playing their game, which you can't win. You can't out evil, and now you're losing. Again, this is going to erode your self-esteem and self-worth and self-respect, because you're becoming a person you don't want to be. A toxic manipulator, even if you're pacifying them, trying to be nice to make them like you, but you're not being true to yourself. Still manipulation, and now you're a match still for them. Yeah? We want to be true. I talk about, I'm not here to be nice, I'm here to be kind. But nice, what does that even mean? I'm not here to be what you want me to be. I'm here to be in service to you in the highest level, which is not me bending myself out of shape to think that in any way serves you. It doesn't. By you understanding how I honor myself, I'm now an energetic match to help you elevate into honoring you. I'm modeling something different to you, more empowering to you, right? To show you that we don't have to keep eroding ourselves, right? To have love, connection, joy, relationship. In fact, there's no intimacy there, because until I honor myself, right, I can't, until I have boundaries as well, that I can't connect with you. There's no true connection on this planet without boundaries, because until I'm willing to be true and honest with where I start and where I end, and honor my emotions and self, yeah, I'm not truly connecting with you. There's no intimacy. I'm still being what I think you need me to be, which I'll never know, because that I don't really know what you think you need me to be, right? But I can't be intimate, I can't be honest, I can't be in relationship, true relationship, until I tell you who I really am and where I stop and start, right? Lying. Narcissists live in the realm of confusion. All they do is confuse you. And that's the work of the devil. The work of God is the light, is clarity. And we start lying. We start lying to the people around us because we want to, excuse me, we want to be part of this shared fantasy. We start lying to ourselves. We start lying to them. You know, everything starts becoming, again, now we're, again, eroding our, self-esteem, our self-respect, because we're living in a lie. We're also faking our lives. Yeah? We're not being true. And the first person you've got to be true to about how bad this is and how it's not okay is yourself. Because we've been taught to minimize it by the narcissist. Minimize how bad it is. Focus on the good things I do. Yeah? Ignore the terrible assault on your entire being. So we lie to ourselves first, and then we lie to other people. And one of the strongest vibrations on the planet, apart from love, is truth. Truth and love, they are so strong. Now, you haven't got to be forcing your truth on people, but when you stand in integrity, in strong truth, right, you're very impenetrable in the universe. That's a very strong energetic to hold, that I hold the truth, my truth, my truth. I'm not trying to convince you. If I'm trying to convince you, I'm not strong in my truth. I don't need you to believe my truth. I can honor you in your truth. That's strength. Because if I'm strong and solid in my truth, I don't need you to adopt it. I can let you be strong and solid in yours, and we can come together in our own truths, which means in our own power. My truth is not less valid because you don't accept it, and nor is yours less valid because it's not the same as mine. We've got to understand this. So we get caught in these lies. We have no true vision for our future. We have a fake future, because the narcissist fake future fakes, which is to keep you on the hook, the carrot dangling in front of your nose. Like one day, that this future will exist with this person that will be what you want it to be, which it will never be. And we actually get frozen in our past and in our current situation. And we live in this, because they don't have a vision for the future. There's no growth with a narcissist, and there's no true growth. A vision for the future isn't buying the next car. A vision for the future is your evolution and growth on the planet, which can include buying the next car, but it's way more than that. a vision for who you want to be, how you want to grow, how you want to evolve, what you want to experience, how you're going to connect more, love more, you know, express more. That's different. So they don't have any of that. They live in survival. They live in, who can I pillage, you know, the next hit. Totally, they're like addicts, you know. And so you start living in just getting through the now, like being in reaction, not in expression of life, not in connection to life even. You're just becoming a reaction, yeah? A trauma response, a reaction, which is why I talked in the last video about the pause, so that you actually take control. The quality of your life is going to depend on the quality of your decisions. But in trauma, you can't even think to make a decision, and you just react more than ever. This is hard for people who aren't traumatized. That's why personal development tools don't work in the same way on traumatized people, because like we have to understand the element of trauma and start dealing with that first, energetically and emotionally and spiritually, because you don't have much of a chance otherwise. You're just a reaction to them, how they want you to feel. Yeah, you're being controlled by them emotionally, and your emotions and energetics are the thing that is going to decide whether you break free, and you not just break free from them, that's just step one. Whether you live abundantly on this planet and actually experience what you came to, which was a fulfilled life. Yes, with pain and suffering, because it's part of the human experience, but not living there. The pain and suffering is here for our contrast. You know, pain is related to love in healthy ways, because it's like, I feel the pain of the person I loved because I loved them. I feel the suffering of other people because I'm meant to empathize and care and be inspired to create a better world. You know, it's useful, it's purposeful when it's healthy. But it's not, you know, it's not a universe meant to be fueled on that. In fact, we can't do much as manifestors and creators when we're constantly in pain and suffering. It's against Mother Nature to be living there. And then the last thing is low values, boundaries and standards. They have no limits, no boundaries, no standards to the hurt and destruction they'll do. And what you start doing with them is having very low boundaries, right? For yourself, for your energy, for your time, your resources. Very low standards for your quality of life. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. You know, there was times in my life where I led a very high quality of life. I've done it short. I've been to 42 countries in the world, traveled the world. I was, as a young woman, successful and, you know, doing very good things. I still had trauma. I didn't understand this, but, you know, I'm different now. I've evolved, but like, I'm still successful and I'm still, you know, but I understand it differently. I don't care in the same way about the things other people care about. I do care about abundance, but like, what I couldn't understand was how my standard of life, my quality of life had radically changed. Oh, and it wasn't for 5 minutes. It wasn't like, oh, I just lost it all and then rebuilt. It wasn't like that at all. It was years of chronic, like, poverty, years of physical PTSD symptoms and no sleep and no quality of life whatsoever. Like, it was so extreme in my life. And then when I did rebuild a tiny little bit, just about came up for air, and my life wasn't good. It was still very survival, but there was a glimpse of it getting better. It got detonated again severely. I couldn't understand how life could be so different at different ends of the spectrum. And, you know, like, this wasn't what it's about. Now I've changed that because I understand the energetics, but the missing link in personal development and in therapy and all of it was the kind of things I'm teaching you, because there are missing links. These tools, the tools out there work, but there's a simpler way to understand them and apply them when you understand what the root cause of something is and the right tool, which is what I teach you all the time. And trauma is the most misunderstood thing on this planet. If you can't manifest, if you're using personal development tools, if you're going to therapy, if you're in therapy for years and you're not healing, that isn't working. But why? Because people do not understand trauma. They're dealing with it on the level of the mind. In personal development, because they don't understand trauma, like I say, like in personal development rooms, it's more like, you know, you can have if you have a good life, it is, if you use those tools, you can create an extraordinary one. Yeah. But if you've got trauma, that's going to be more blocked for you. So I couldn't understand how I'd managed to be a great manifester and now nothing was working. Trauma. Trauma and spirituality. Also, God is not going to bless you with your abundance necessarily easily if you're going to use it to fuel the dark. God doesn't want your resources to be pillaged. He wants you to be blessed. He wants you to be blessed, and you can't be blessed with a narcissist, not because emotionally it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and spiritually it doesn't make sense. There is no abundance there. There's just loss, lack, destitution, and detonation. It doesn't work there. So that's why I was still kidding myself. I didn't understand the spiritual truths. I still thought I could have these people in my life. Yeah? I was still trying to resuscitate the dead rather than work with people who, as I've talked to before, anything on this planet that you pour love in thrives. If you just literally energetically intend to transmit love to plants, this is science. The plant grows. They've studied energetics and emotions where they've put different cups of water, and they've literally intentionally put different emotions, and the water changes. Your energy is such a huge transmission on this planet. You have this ability, but we're using it in the wrong way. How are you spending your currency? Time, energy, money. What are you investing in? Every time stamp is an investment in a bank. Every energetic connection is an investment in the bank. Don't spend your time and energy in places that you know aren't good for you as much as you can, because there are situations, absolutely, where you'll have to get by in those situations, but where you don't, see it as a very important investment in your future, because what you create now, you're creating in the future as well. It works in both timelines. It's not like one day you suddenly get your future. No, you've got to be creating it now. And that depends on where you're putting your most important resources, time, energy, and money. Is it in your growth? Is it in potential? Is it in healthier ways? So being here, you're putting time. Time is the one resource you'll never get back into a new future every time you listen and connect to these videos, right? Because we're not just going around in the circus mind, the monkey brain of understanding, analyzing narcissists. Build a beautiful life. And then if you really want to analyze everything about them, do that. Know what you need to know so that you shift. If that's your intention, that's my intention for you. I don't want to get on my deathbed and think I knew all about narcissists, although I do know a lot, and show you everything here that that I think that you need to know, really, to start moving. I want to get on my deathbed. Well, I don't want to get on my deathbed. Let's not manifest that right now. But I want to live a life and actually know that I've experienced things that I wanted to. I want to know what real love feels like, connection. I want to know. Well, I do know, but you know what I mean. I want to have experiences that I feel like was a really well lived life. Not one that I spent in suffering and feeding destruction on the planet. Yeah, I want a meaningful life, one that makes sense to me, that I can look back on and be proud of and feel it was worth living. Not one that was taken from me by the devil, right? Because of fear, because of oppression, because of persecution, because of all this negativity that this entity does. We will rebalance this planet. Yeah, but it takes all of us to wake, not all of us, but each one of us to wake up, and then we create a ripple effect. And when you become so, like what I teach in Sovereign, self-focused, self-partnered, self-sourcing, right? Then once you're healed, you're going to want to contribute, and the changes we'll make, each one of us, just, will matter. Because you have a ripple effect. Your energy, where you spend it, matters. Your time on this planet matters. You matter more than you know. Spiritually, you were chosen as a, I don't know, they talk in statistics about the chance of you being born. You, like it's something in 1 in a trillion, whatever, that it would be you. So there's a reason you're here. You don't necessarily know what it is yet fully, and we're on the journey of that. We're not supposed to just find our purpose. We're on an exploration journey that's supposed to be freeing and fun. Yeah, not just learning how to get strategy so I can deal with the most toxic demons. You want to evolve past having to play there. You know what I mean? And then they lose their control, they lose the way, and it isn't as hard as we might think. Because when you operate in love, it's a much more powerful energy. They are in a limited consciousness. We're in an expansive one when we're coming from love. So this elevation of our consciousness, this awakening we're doing here in this work, this understanding of we have a part to play, and it matters. You cause an energetic ripple effect, right, by who you're being every day, including behind closed doors when you think, well, I'll just give in to my narcissistic addiction here. It matters. It's not that God's seen and trying to condemn you for it. It's that is an investment in your currency. It's like a computer game. You know, like in computer games, you get like a certain amount of coins and you get a certain amount of food, and you walk around the planet trying to build up your resources, and then you spend them. And that will depend on how far you get in the game. This is life. It's the same thing. Be very mindful where you're spending your energy. You don't have to read that long message from your friend that you know is toxic and you just don't want to talk about it anymore. You get to say, I don't want to discuss this right now. I've got to take care of myself. I'm not willing to deal with this right now. You get to withdraw your energy from things that don't make sense. Yeah, you're not having to be the power source for other people's toxic connections, and you get to radically raise your self-awareness and realize where we've got to all improve on our boundary standards and how we treat each other, that you might not realize because you feel entitled in some way. You feel we've all got a story of why it's worse for us, right? And it is worse for us sometimes. Mine was terrible, my life, and I did feel like somebody should help me, but then I had to understand a bigger spiritual truth and to become an energetic match for not needing anyone. Right? So that everyone in my life is a blessing and abundance, but it's not someone I need or I'm trying to in any way ask to rescue me or save me, because fundamentally that's still taker energy, right? We want to be in giving energy when we're safe, boundaried, and then a source to self, right? So if you want to join Sovereign, you've got until the weekend to sign up to that, right? Other than that, sending you a ton of love, and I'll speak to you soon.